contamination, then you gotta go further down? Is that what-
We go down 5 feet. We
Then you find
this
out what's going on in the 5 feet, and then depending on what results you get out of the 5 feet going down, then you say, okay, we go more, or we go another 10 feet, 15 feet. Is that what?
Correct. That's a correct way of thinking. And sometimes we say, look, since we are there,
Let's just go all the
let's
way.
go all the way. Let's go down. We know the groundwater here is about 30 feet down.
Right.
We already know that. Let us punch holes all the way to groundwater since we are there. Let us take samples from the soil and the groundwater. Let us analyze the soil, the samples at, say, 10 feet, 5 or 10 feet. If they are clean, we are going home. If they are not clean, we will analyze the samples that we took from further down. See, so, and that's, so every case is
It's
different.
different. It's a case-by-case basis.
Case by
Property.
case,
Very
yes.
good.
Okay, so let's say you have a 2-acre parcel. Where do you do the boring and the hole drilling? How do you distribute the samples? And if they're concentrated in one side of the property, I mean, is that all governed by regulations, or?
No, it's governed by good practice and common sense. And we look, in your case, if it is a gasoline station, okay? So we say, well, okay, this is where the tanks used to be, this is where the pumps or the dispensers used to be, you had a waste oil tank over there. Oh, what happened? So you had a waste oil tank over there. And so let us take samples around where the tanks used to be. Let us take samples where the pumps used to be. Let us take samples where the waste oil used to be. So we do it based on the history, what we know about the property. Sometimes we don't know anything. Recently we had a project in, what's the name of the city? Near San Bernardino, in Rialto. And the city retained us because they have a long strip there of about, I don't know, half a mile that they want to redevelop. And they were concerned about toxic gas coming from a landfill across the street. So this is an undeveloped land. Nobody has ever been there. So what we did, we had about, I don't know, about 1,600 long stretch of land, and we went every 100 feet, and we took samples to see if anything is coming at us.
I worked with Chevron for 12 years, and I did their listings and had buyers. I just wondered if you covered, when they put in a vapor extraction system, it was my experience that the agencies would allow the developer to go ahead and build as long as the extraction system, didn't interfere with what they were building.
Yes, it's a good point.
So, and there's some clients that buy property like that, they are fearless, they are not in any way intimidating. That's been my experience.
That's correct. That's a very practical way to do it. Sometimes you can purchase a property, and if it needs cleanup or remediation, you do it as you develop the property. You can put a certain extraction system there that will extract the contamination, and you can build it, you can develop, and that's right.
As long as I think very often that the water board is the lead agency, depends if you go down to the water level, right?
Yes and no. In most cases, yes. In some cases, the DTSC. We have a case here in Bell Gardens, and where the DTSC is the lead agency, and the groundwater is contaminated. But in most cases, it will be the water board.
If you do phase 2 and it comes clean, then is there any surprises down the road? Like when you come to take out the tank, then you see, oh no, it's maybe something else.
I did not give the rest. If it comes clean, then what?
If you do phase 2 and it comes clean, like okay, it's fine, then can it be still you have surprises down the road, like when you try to take the tank out or something and find there was a leak still, or that's for sure is done?
Well, when we do a phase 2, and if we know that there are tanks there, we will check around the tanks. We'll find out what's going on, and
you would know for sure, like 99% you would find out if there's a problem.
Yes.
Do you usually recommend removing the tanks?
Well, if the tanks are old and antiquated and are not in use, it's not only that we recommend, it is a law.
It's required.
You have to pull them out. Yes.
I mean, comment on this. Let's say you have phase one and phase two, and they say no further action, but then you don't have something from the fire department that says
No further action.
no further action. You don't have that. Are you still good? Are you safe, or you still with you're the developer, the buyer? You still would have concern? Yes or no?
Okay, we will give a recommendation. We'll say, look, you don't have the letter from the fire department.
Uh-huh.
In our opinion, you've got no concerns. Okay, so now it's up to you
To make that call.
to make the call.
Very good.
So here is a real case that it's ongoing as we speak right now. It's ongoing. I received a phone call a few weeks ago, and it's a auto car mechanic. And this is not this picture is from another place, but it's very similar to the case that we are involved in. So it's an auto car mechanic, and they did the phase one, and they found out that there used to be tanks here. That it was a gasoline stations many years ago. The tanks were pulled out. They find the reports in the fire department, and they say, well, at the time that they pulled the tanks, nobody took any samples. So the consultant goes, they take samples, and they say, well, everything looks good right now, except there is one thing here that we are concerned about. And they say, here we are. You still have this opening. This is an old waste oil tank. It remained here from the old operations. They are not using it anymore. They have not been using it for the past, who knows, 20 years. But it is full of oil. So consultant says, we are concerned about it. You need to pull it out. It's illegal to have the tank. And conventional lenders will not give a loan on such a property if the tank is still there because it's illegal. You have to pull it out. So they call us and they say, well, what do we need to do? And I say, you need to pull it out. And they say, well, okay. How much is going to cost? So I said, that's okay. How much is going to cost? I said, it's going to cost so much. It's so much that let me connect you with an associate of mine who is a very good tank pool contractor. And I know them. I've done several projects with them. I trust them with my closed eyes. Call them and they will give you a price. So they called me. And so here is a tank. This is not the tank in this specific property, but this is another property that we were involved. And you see here is oil. It's coming all the way up. Okay, and waste oil tanks in those kind of stations, we are concerned about it because, especially when it stands full for a long time, because the oil always has a sludge, like those solids in it. They settle down, and waste oil, engine waste oil, has sulfur in it, and then the sulfur goes stick down to the bottom of the tank, and eventually it becomes sulfuric acid, and sulfuric acid is highly corrosive, and it can corrode the bottom of the tank, and then you have a leaking tank on your hand. And we have had such cases before. The saving grace, if you wish, with waste oil tanks are that because it is so, the sludge at the bottom is so thick, and many times they sit on sand, then the sludge and the sand, even if there is a hole in the tank, it will plug the hole. And we pulled out such tanks, and they had big holes, okay, but they were not leaking because everything plugged itself. So it can go two ways, but we are concerned about it. So they need to remove this tank. Yeah.
I understand that if it's unrefined oil, it's usually not cancergenous. But if it's refined, then it can be cancergenous. Am I correct in that?
Yes, this is a correct observation. That's correct. And again, the classic example is La Brea down pits and all the area around it, Fairfax, etc. You go there to ground, it has oil all over the place. But we are not concerned about it. We are not drinking it, but it's not something that is highly toxic. Anything can be toxic. Coffee could be toxic. If you drink too much coffee, you will be in a bad shape, right? So anything, it all depends, as we said, depends on the dose, okay? How much you take of anything. So, but on a regular level, if you breathe petroleum, you're not going to die. So anyway, here is an example of a tank that looks, this is a waste oil tank, looks like this. Okay, this is a gasoline tank that we pulled out of the ground, but this is a 500-gallon tank. The waste oil tanks that we are dealing with is 500-gallon tank. So this is how a 500-gallon tank looks like. It's about 7 feet long, it's about 4 feet wide, and it's sitting a few feet under the surface. So here is a tank and it has to be removed. All right, so here is the tank that I just showed you the picture before, and it's getting pulled out of the ground, and will be loaded to a truck that is sitting here, and this is how it looks like. And there is an excavation, you see it's a narrow driveway, and once the tank is being pulled out, then we go and take samples from the excavation under the tank. And that's how we decide if there is a problem or not. So here's an example of a tank that we found on a property. It is a gasoline tank. In this case, it's a 4,000-gallon gasoline tank. And the property owner purchased it in 1970s, and we were here a couple of years ago. They did not even know they had this tank on the property. We found it. We found it because we were there doing something, and we found the tank. So this was a 4,000-gallon tank, and we found it, and it was filled with water to the brim. And we took the water and we tasted it, and the water, and it had hexavalent chrome in the water. Okay, so it was highly toxic. I don't know how the chromium got into the water. I have no idea. This was a gasoline tank, but it was sitting there with 4,000 gallons of water laced with hexavalent toxic chromium. So we pulled the tank out, and when we pulled it, see what we see. See here what we saw. Okay, holes. This one. There's another one here. You can stick your head into it. This tank is corroded. And at first we thought we had a big problem on our hand, but lucky enough, again, with the water and the clay under the tank, they sealed the hole and it did not leak. And they were very fortunate because groundwater here is at 40 feet below them. If this water had leaked to the groundwater, it would have been a mega $1 million project. So they were lucky in this case. But this is how a leaking tank, or potentially leaking tank, looks like. It's a hole, it's real. And here is the excavation. Once we pull the tank out, here is the excavation of the tank. And then we go into the excavation, not that we go, we have a backhoe there sitting, and we tell him, okay, go down. We never enter the open excavations. So he goes down and he digs a little excavation here under the bottom of the excavation. And we tell him, go down about 3 feet and get us the soil. This is the soil that we are going to sample and to decide if the tank has leaked or not. So in the case of the transaction that is ongoing right now, I mean, we will pull, I mean, not me, not we, I mean, the contractor will pull the tank, and then the geologist will take the samples here, will send them to the lab, and we will see if the tank has leaked or not, and based on that, the decision will be made if there is a problem here or not. So here is some parameters, if you wish, of this specific transaction that is, as I said, it's ongoing. So I get the call in the late afternoon, and they say, okay, we have the tank, what do we do? And I say, okay, we'll get you a contractor. So the contractor goes and he says, okay, by the way, that's $1 million transaction. And he said, okay, he will remove the tank, he will do the testing, he will report, $23,000. Here is the cost. So now they know $1 million transaction, there is another $23,000 that somebody has to pay. And the contractor wants to get paid, of course. He wants 30% down and balance progressive. As he pulls the tank comes out, he wants his money. Well, the seller says, I got no money. He's got no money. The property has a first trust deed of $500,000 on it. They purchased it long time ago for maybe $350,000. It went up in value. It's $1 million transaction right now, and he's got no money. This is why he's selling the property. So the seller says, I've got no money. The buyer says, I'm not going to put money into escrow until I get a clean bill of health until I know what's going on. The contractor says I need to get paid. So all moving is, so we are running in this circle here, you see? Everything is running in this circle. So nothing is moving forward, and then they called me and said, well, Ami, the broker said, Ami, what is the chance that it will be contaminated? I say, well, your chance is anywhere from 5 to 10%. Based on my experience, this is your chance. 5 to 10%, it will be contaminated. And, but I say, remember, once it is contaminated, it's 100%. So now, how do we solve this problem? And so eventually they say, well, okay, find us a lender. I said, well, I'm a consultant, but I'll call my client. It is a hard money lender, and we will find out. So we call around, and my friend says, he says, none of my guys wants to finance it. They are concerned about it. He says to me, Ami, you know it, you know the risk. Why don't you finance it? I said, well, I'm not the lender. But they don't want to take the risk. So eventually they say, well, maybe the contractor will take the risk, because the contractor, he knows the ratios. The contractor says, well, okay, you want me to take the risk? Put in another $15,000 onto the cost, because he says, he doesn't know. He says, if it is contaminated, then there is more work to be done. The property falls out of escrow. He's sitting there, he's not getting paid. He needs to pay his laborers. He says, the contractor says, he says, he's not in the lending business, but if you guys want me to take a risk, he says, put another $15,000. So they him and her, and eventually, somehow they find the money. The seller says, the seller is being stressed, another $15,000. He says, find the money.
I'm Patricia Cross, the chair, and we want to wrap this up by 10:30 because we have people who want to present their listings.
Good.
Okay, so thank you.
So I'm done.
No, but hold on.
You still have time.
How much time do I have?
5 minutes. 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes. 7.5.
We can go as long as needed.
Okay. So anyway, so that's where we are. That's where we are, and right now we are moving forward. The whole transaction is moving forward, and we'll see in a couple of weeks we will solve the deal. So I think that's about what I have to say. And again, if you have any questions, you can always contact me. Here is my website, like my name, amiadini.com.
Leave it there, please.
Go on.
So leave it there. He's
Just one
he's taking
second.
a
Okay.
picture.
So there it is, amiadini.com. You have my phone here, and you have my email, which is amiadini,
You have literature in the back?
What?
You have literature in the
Yes,
back?
I have literature in the bag as well. And feel free to call me. Always, some of you that have talked to me before, I'm always available at no charge. You can talk to me, and I only charge if I really need to do real things that is more than 15 or 20 or even 1 hour. I will help you, okay? But if I need to go out for 8 hours, then maybe we'll talk charge. But I'm available. All right?
Good.
Yes.
I think a few people want to know whether it's worth going into the whole, be the guy that focuses on environmental issues and be the one that gets into buying dirty properties. And what do you feel is their exposure? Can you say how often is a property really valued? Let's say that $1 million property goes down. How low can the value get dropped if it's really contaminated, really bad?
Well, again, it's on a case-by-case basis. You go to the doctor, it's hard to put a number. I gave another example of an industrial property in Bell Gardens. It's valued clean, $4.5 million. He had to sell it for $3.5. Okay, so he went down $1 million to sell it.
How often is something like that?
How often? It happens.
In that example, how much will it cost to clean that land
He has to help at least 20 people.
for the buyer?
I tell them how much it's going to cost. Usually, there was another transaction that you are talking about, where it was a 2-acre property, industrial property, and I told them, in my opinion, it will be anywhere from $600,000 to $800,000 to clean it up, and so I gave them a number. Yeah. Okay.
You were just terrific.
He's
Well,
wonderful.
Very informative. Okay, thank you so much. The traffic didn't cooperate with me this morning at all. I gave myself an hour and 15 minutes for Brentwood, didn't work. Anyway, I'm Patricia Cross. My broker is Nelson Shelton and Associate in Beverly Hills. And I had written a little thing up about our wonderful vice chair, Christian. So I'd like to read it even though he had to step in for me earlier. Christian, as a longtime head of a noted Paris real estate brokerage, Christian Gruss has expanded his base to encompass the Los Angeles market. Now based in the U.S. at Compass, Beverly Hills, he communicates daily with both European and LA-based clients, establishing links between European and Southern California. Christian draws on his unparalleled depth of experience and international connections to achieve rewarding results. He is as the chairman of Diplomacy and Sustainability Development and director on the International Urban Development Association. He enjoys a distinguished global profile in an array of fields, including real estate, and his position as CEO for the U.S. Pacific INTA. So that's our vice chair, Christian. And my background had a lot to do with, as I said, dealing with Chevron and environmental issues and commercial buildings and Section 8 stuff and all that. So I want to move on and have our very illustrious brokers here who are going to present. May I call on David Ashir
Right here.
first? Ashir?
Yashar.
Sure.
But for you, it's okay. Go ahead. I really feel comfortable.
You have the,
We have it.
yes,
email.
okay. Do you need
Do you
this?
need this? Or should I just speak louder? You guys all hear me.
Is he loud enough for you guys?
We'll let you
Okay.
get onto that.
All right, good.
That's your gun in case anybody doesn't behave.
We have gifts up